from Digital India Bhashini division. Digital India Bhashini division is basically an independent business division under Digital India Corporation, which was basically created under Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology to bridge or transcend the language barrier. The idea was that the languages which we have, 22 which are enshrined in the Constitution, they should be able, people who speak these languages, they should be able to innovate, collaborate, and work together without feeling that the language is a barrier for them. So what do we do actually? We have built AI models for 5 basic problems. First is automatic speech recognition. So that means 22 languages you speak. You should be in a position, the digital system should be in a position to understand those 22 languages and encode it within the system so that there is a digital inclusivity which can be enabled. Number 2 is about text-to-text translation. So if there is one language which is encoded in, system, which is in, say, X, it can be translated to Y as far as the 22 languages are concerned. We initially started with 22 languages. Now we are on that for 36 languages. We then are looking at the digital systems speaking to you. That means text-to-speech, that too in 22 languages. So that is something which we are we have already built, and that is the third problem which we are trying to solve. And then, there's a lot of printed text which we have, which is fundamentally, if you scan them, it will be a grayscale for us, grayscale images for us. So we are basically converting them to the machine-readable language, and we have attempted the printed language first. We are going to handwritten and scenic language next. Then, obviously, our country is not completely digitized, which means that a lot of vocabulary still needs to get into digital systems, right? So we are trying to keep build up right from rural India to the urban India, as well as other scientific terminologies which we use to build a named entity recognition, which is digital vocabulary for the country. Where have we reached? We have, as I said, we have done 22 languages on voice. That means automatic speech recognition, text-to-speech. And then we have 36 languages on text, as far as text is concerned. And we are progressing to build more languages. So our idea which is there is that once we have built up these models, then we are going forward to, next set of languages. So, last week we launched a hackathon at Mizoram to build the language model for Mizo. And we are going to do that for Khasi, Garo. And we are also collaborating with state governments to look at tribal languages, how they can be digitized and preserved. So while transcending language barrier was one of the things which we had, we also have, the responsibility to preserve the language as well as to actually build the dialects and increase the productivity tools which are there in the market. Now, when we are doing that, we are also looking at the main aspect of it, which is the digital inclusivity. And digital inclusivity is basically targeted at people who are on the other side of digital divide, or they are on the other side of literacy divide. And that is where the voice first platform comes into picture. We are looking at voice first as the idea for most of the services and the other activities which we are doing as far as governance and services are concerned, and then migrating into other domains. So how are we doing it, or how did we went about doing it? The mission was announced by Honorable Finance Minister in the Parliament about 3.5 years back. We had AI at that point of time not so democratized. The language resources were not so many language resources were there. Digital data, was scarce, for all the languages, and more so for at least 16 or 17 languages which were there. And of course, the NLP skills were, also not democratized. So what we did was that we connected with 70 odd institutes across the country, length and breadth of the country. If it is NIT, National Institute of Technology, Manipur, or it could be NIT Suratkal, or it could be IIT Jammu. It is basically connecting all the, institutes together, and then trying to formulate a project which was related to a 22 language permutation and combination thing. We then asked these institutes to create about 8 projects, 8 consortiums, and they were all clubbed into 8 consortiums, and then they were given each of the problem statements to solve. One of the basic problems which we had was about having digital data. So there was a specific project in which we planned for a brute collection of digital data. That means we had about 300 odd translators who were on the field having a mobile app, went to the field, asked people like you and me that this is a picture, can you speak about it or write about it, and then give, the translated version of it. And we got the digital data like that, okay? Having done that, has my model seen the universe, or has any model seen the universe as far as India is concerned? The answer would be obviously no, right? Because all the conversation pieces, all the pieces which are down there are not seen. So now we have adopted a next generation of improvement or model improvement exercise. What we are doing is that deploying these models into various use cases, and those are narrow use cases which lead to certain opportunities for improvement in the model. And those opportunities of improvement are then encashed through the cycle of improvement again. So I'll give you some examples. We have deployed the system which actually is able to answer farmers' query on voice, on the advisories which farmer need for its own profession, right? And that's in the state of Maharashtra. And we found that when we are deploying this, we are figuring out that there are challenges with respect to the agri-domain words which are either not known to the model, and since it's not known to the model, it's pronounced and translated also incorrectly. So what we are working upon is to create a program called AgriDhan, where we will request the agriculture universities, students, to actually put up across the digital data. We will use our property called Bhashadhan, where the person will be given a text to speak, and he will speak, and then it will run through 5 validators, and the best of 5 will be actually becoming a golden data set. If it is best of 5, then it becomes a golden data set. There are other things which we are doing from a use case deployment. There is also, there are states which are, we have a MOU with about 19 states now, and we are working on a situation by which we will be wanting to digitize each one of the states so that digital content on the specific language is created if it is not there. And for that, there are multiple ways. You can use the automatic speech recognition to actually, digitize the thing, and then get it error corrected through manual vetting, and then use it for the model to have the digital content. So there are various mechanisms which we are working upon, and there is work in progress. Another mechanism which we have adopted is, using innovation challenges and hackathons. So we are looking at, currently running about 7 innovation challenges. One of the innovation challenges actually looks at how do I submit my grievance to the government, and that is specifically to Central Information Commission, and how do I do it through a voice journey, and how we are able to actually capture that particular voice journey into the system, right? And once we are trying to do that, we are obviously looking into second or third level of action, which is basically whatever grievances are coming would be for the subject area and domain which the systems wouldn't have seen in their language, right? And when they are doing that, we will be again going back to collect the data, and tune the model accordingly. The second, use case which we are running is that can a in-person who is basically on the other side of digital divide, and as well as at the worker level where he is not a software developer, but he is looking at a resume building system. So can his resume be as good as our resume as such? So there again, we are working with My Bharat portal to ensure that you speak and you are able to categorize the entire system so that there is a resume which has got built up. That is the second one which we are running, second problem statement which we are running. The third problem statement which we are working upon is that the way I am speaking to you right now, can this be converted into a minutes of meeting, especially in a governance scenario, and then it can be presented. Obviously, there are certain tools available which do that currently, but the idea is to get into perfection. The fourth one which we are working upon is, can a patient-doctor communication in bilingual or a multilingual format be converted into a prescription and the EHR gets automatically populated? And the other one which we are working upon is, can there be an airline counter or a railway inquiry or a ticketing window in a metro where a multilingual inquiry system can work? Now, all of these are fundamentally, when you're looking at, they are fundamentally deployment of ASR as well as TTS in some fashion or the other, excepting that the surround system and the customization and the data which has to be seen will be very different, right? And it requires, like when we deployed the system for Kumbh Mela, where we created a chatbot which was basically answering the people in 13 languages on their queries, we had approximately 440 words in Kumbh, which were Kumbh-specific words, and that was the basic glossary which went into the system when we went into the ground and started collecting that. Having done that, these are about hackathons which we are running. We intend to run more of them so that narrow use cases are digitized to perfection. Our idea of staying with the system and working with the system is to promote digital and literacy, inclusion, as well as look at how do we achieve the accuracy which is guaranteed. It is not that you use it at your own risk. It is about, can I basically get a use case with a guaranteed success rate which is going to be there, and obviously it requires hard work to be put in, both in terms of data collection, in terms of model tuning, and also in terms of new areas of work which actually requires a lot of encoding. So we are also working on projects which requires digital encoding standards for Indian languages. So if there are issues which are coming up with that, we are working on that to rectify it. And one of such consultation papers are already there on the web. All of you can look at it and provide your comments on it. Having done all of this, which I talked about, there are use cases which have been deployed all across in various terms. So I'll pick up one by one, and then you will be in a position to appreciate what is being done at a very ground level on, to ensure that India becomes voice-enabled, voice-first, or voice-first country, as well as it uses language to, language never remains a barrier. So look at the policing part of it. We are working currently on a system by which, if you have ever gone through investigation officers, police investigation officers' day routine, there is sudden call which comes and he goes to the crime scene and he actually watches the crime scene and then he's supposed to create a report out of it, which gets onto the first level report for any further prosecution or investigation to happen. We have done the pilots to actually inflict voice there. So now a police officer, investigation officer goes on the field with a mobile and he would be in a position to actually transcribe what he is doing. This gets integrated to crime and criminal network tracking system, which will then be able to file the routine. The second example, when there are court systems which are there, court systems on a local district court work on local language. When it moves to the higher courts, it gets translated to, it gets moved to English, and Supreme Court, of course, works on English. So the case diary translation is another use case on which we are working upon. Zero FIR is another use case. Voice-based FIR filing is another use case which we are working upon. These are systems which you will see soon in this particular country getting deployed, right? That is what is the idea. Then we are looking at agriculture. One of the agriculture use case I talked about, which was fundamentally talking about advisory to the farmers. We are working on the second or third use case, which also leads to the, one of the things which we have experimented today is that in about 10 languages, we had 100,000 calls going to various farmers about their feedback on the schemes. It was targeted call going through on the AI systems, and we have been able to actually, that was quite successful arrangement where we have completed the calls, decoded the intent, and then went on ground to actually do the actionables here. So that is a system under deployment. You will perhaps see a complete rollout of these systems, both in the area of ration card as well as in the area of agriculture for this particular call base which is happening, right? Then we are working with NCERT to create audio books for the student, and that is something which is, again, many of these things are having the complexities which we haven't heard of. Obviously, from a perspective, like in NCERT books, the fonts are absolutely different, right? There is fonts which are of age-old areas which are being put in, and those books are to be read out. So we are also creating font converters or, font readers, which are not actually going through the Unicode domain as such. So that's another area where we are working. We are working with, NPCI. NPCI, we have worked to create a voice-based chatbot, voice-based payment system. So we have imagined a persona of a person coming from a village to the city, right? And he wants to send the 100 rupees which he has earned during the day through the voice command. So he dials a number, completes the voice journey. The only thing which he needs to do is to enter the PIN. So, that is the complete thing which we have worked upon. We worked with Reserve Bank Innovation Hub to deploy a system by which the loans, which Kisan credit loans, can be given on a frictionless fashion. The Kisan credit is given on land parcels. Land parcels are in local language in various state databases. That needs to be pulled in, and then it has to be translated because banks understand English, and the loan documents are in English. So we are have actually created a system which can do this all automatically and transliterate the entire thing. Then we are looking at governance, and grievance redressal is a very important aspect of our thing, and we are in the process of rolling out a system by which a person will come and tell his grievance in a conversational form, and the system will automatically recognize what is the grievance, where should it be routed, and how should it be routed. So that is another system which is going to get into shape in a few days from now, and the POCs are already in for that. We have integrated this to e-office, so when you are speaking to e-office, you can dictate the note. So e-office is basically for those of you who do not know, are integral part of governance system, right? So when you send something to government, there's a file created, and various people actually give the noting, express their opinion, and then a decision is taken. The notings can now be done in vernacular and voice-based systems. So that is another integration which has been taken up, and there are obviously issues which are around. We rolled out, digital branding for Indian government websites called DBIM. Bhashini is an integral part of it. You can get 22 languages there. The translation plugin is adapted to the Indian conditions and Indian systems there, and it will actually work through in that particular fashion. Most of the current union government websites are getting done that way, and also the state government websites are following that. So one of the ideas of website, translation plugin, putting translation plugin on website is that you will be able to generate a lot of parallel corpus for digital content there because, once you have in one language, then you are able to translate it in another language. Most of this are getting vetted here, right? Then we have a lot of things which are basically being done on the domain of disabilities. So, the voice function is being used for disabilities, whatever the disability systems you get, that is another area which is being worked upon. Culture and tourism, of course, we created a chatbot for UNESCO where you can answer the queries. We working also with Lok Sabha. Last session, we were transcribing the entire session which was going there in the floor language, and then, creating the reports which were going in that system. Healthcare, the e-Sanjeevani, which is basically a teleconsultation part, we have integrated our system there. So there is a possibility now that you speak in other means doctor and patients can consult in multiple language in a teleconsultation manner, right? Then we have obviously we are working with NIC on the e-hospital system where we are looking at doctor-patient conversation to be directly transformed into a prescription and the EHR getting integrated together. So these are some use cases which we had done, and most of these use cases are getting rolled out into the systems. But these are some of the products which you can use and have it. So you have a Bhashini mobile app, you can download that now and start using it. It gives a converse feature where you can converse with the person keeping a mobile at the center. You are able to converse with the people with this particular system. Then you have, audiobook. You have assisted chatbots which are being there. And we have Vani Anuvad which actually does the speech-to-speech translation. And we have a product called Shrutlekh which actually which transcribes and translates whatever I am speaking. I will perhaps be able to show you at the end of the presentation as, since we are running this here. So it is effectively live translating whatever I am speaking in English into Kannada right away. Right? These are things which are actually to be used for also data generation. Because a lot of knowledge which we are trying to give or having in these workshops is only in English, and the local people or the people on the tier 2 and tier 3 cities are not totally, engrossed into this particular system unless and until we convert into local language. There can be some errors, but due to dialects and other things. But if you are in a position to actually give this to them, they will obviously be able to get enriched with the system. The other thing which we are trying to do is that can we actually look at taking this system, putting it into a knowledgeable workshop like this, what is happening, and then giving it to a local college and say that, Kannada college, and say that, correct it. Now, in that situation, he will be in a position to actually read through this knowledge, as well as you get a parallel corpus for the technical system which is around. A lot of these ideas are being used, and we are in a position to help systems and people to actually make things more inclusive. If we have to progress, we have to not depend upon our metros for our talent. We have to develop talents at the tier 2 cities and tier 3 cities and bring them through the telecom network to the mainstream rather than creating a migration which is there. Now, having these products and these systems with us, it is very important for not to forget that these systems and these products will only work if we help collecting data and contributing. And that's where we are basically running programs like Bhashadan and Datadan. Bhashadan actually runs with 4 cards. It says Bolo, Likho, Suno, Dekho. That means it is basically looking at capturing your dialect, capturing your specific words which you see. Suno is basically trying to improve the TTS. Likho is trying to improve the text-to-text translation. And your Dekho is trying to improve the OCR. So, all of these are some things which are where we are looking for contributions. We are looking for a long journey. We are perhaps running a marathon in Indian languages because of the lack of digital data. And we have to digitize very fast, very well, so that we are in a position to actually deliver in the artificial intelligence domain what we want to deliver and where we want to be. And hence we would base the choice or the evaluation of models this is not the right time to do that, but it is right time to use it and help these models develop further, digitize whatever you have, and help run programs which will digitize the effective knowledge which is there in tier 2, tier 3 cities, and we have our culture and values which are embedded in those cities as such in multiple languages and dialects. We are also looking at, how in future we would be in a position to extend this to various other applications. Obviously, we are interacting with, we have about 100 startups enrolled in our system who are using this to build the application. We would like more to work with us, and we also would like this to go to various educational institutions where they are in a position to, get into innovations and hackathons around it to build and improve the models. So that's broadly what I wanted to, put across to you. We'll be happy to take one or two questions which are there, to take the things forward.